Hi everybody, thank you very much for joining me once again. This is Artie Hoffman, and this week's topic is about raising kids. Now, you have to understand that every single family and every single child has their own dynamic. And just because, you're very impressed with somebody else's family or somebody else's kids, it doesn't mean that it's going to work for your child or for your family dynamic. Because what works for one family or what works for one kid doesn't mean it's going to work for the other. So as a parent, it's very important to understand your child and find out what their interests are so that you could appreciate them for who they are and not just what you want them to be. It's about expressing unconditional love. As far as a lot of people, a lot of kids being unruly and being very difficult, there has to be, cause and effect. There has to be, rewards and also takeaways. And also when you compliment your child, it's very good to compliment your child to let them know, how great they are or how much you love them. They need to hear these words, or to say, I love you, or to, to be there for them, when it counts. You can't be there all the time, I'm sure. For those of you who are lucky enough, God bless you that you could do that. But there are times where parents, because of the times, it's just very difficult. We get tired from trying to take on all the responsibilities of life. But probably one of the biggest mistakes that parents do out of guilt, whether it be because of divorce or because they're not around enough, a lot of parents end up giving way too much to their children. And so their child, rather than appreciating what you're doing for them, they have this feeling of becoming entitled. They have this entitlement issue. So when somebody, meaning your child, is becoming irrational, that's when you need to, rather than giving them gifts to make them happy to keep quiet, what you're doing is, you're teaching your child that, the more you cry, the more you act out, that means I'm going to give you. And that's exactly what you're telling your child or your children, because you want to just, shut them up. So you're willing to do whatever they want just to make them happy. But what happens is that you're actually being put in a very vulnerable position and you're giving your own child or children all the power. And so they have to learn that when they're acting bad, that this is where, ignoring them under certain circumstances or taking away their privileges or something that they like to do, you have to take that away from them because there's cause and effect. So it's very important that if you want to, raise your child with a really healthy perspective, when they're doing good, you should, reward them, and, if you do this, then I'll do that. Or if you're telling them to do a particular chore and you just get a little lazy on it and you just say, nah, and you want them to do it, but they get lazy. So therefore you get lazy by trying to challenge them, and you let them still go out and play or do what they want to do. And then you're the one that's stuck with the responsibility of taking care of something that they should have done to begin with. And that's not right. You should be, teaching them responsibility and respect. And with that, you're teaching them character and you're teaching them real life, true life situations and not just, delusional fantasy land, and a lot of times we say, well, you know what, I feel bad, I feel guilty, I didn't have much, and now that I'm making more, or now that I have more, I want to give that to my kids. I don't want them to suffer or to feel what I went through, so I end up giving them. Or parents going through a divorce, I feel bad for the kids, they're always crying. But you want to know something? This is all about building up their character and building up their confidence and teaching them to learn about emotions and teaching them to learn to deal with emotions. And guess what? Life isn't always fair. And if you're going to teach them the delusion effect that whatever they want, they get, then you know what? You're going to raise a monster. So if you want your child, all right, to really respond to you in a positive way, and they're not giving to you in the way that you would appreciate, you got to cut off their oxygen supply or their blood supply, meaning, of things that they love more than life itself, whether it be their video games, whether it be food, whether it be going out with their friends. But until they pull through, then you'll start to give them. But by you just giving to them, why should they change their actions if you're always providing for them? You are conditioning them to be that way. And you all you're looking for is respect. You're just looking for common appreciation and respect. And instead, you're teaching them you could crap all over me and I'll still give to you and I'll still provide for you. Because you are not taking the time to teach them responsibility. And it's very important. And for those of you who are lucky enough to be born with the golden child, because there are some of us who do have those children that are very attentive, who are that kind and considerate, because they are born with an old soul, that they do have that compassion and consideration. And that's great. That's really fantastic that, you don't have to work at it as hard because you have a great kid. And not saying that all you others don't have good kids. They are. They just have to learn. You just have to teach them good people skills and teach them about responsibility. I strongly believe that if your child wants something, I will give you the necessities of life. But if you want the best of the best, if you want, something that's going to cost a lot more, well, I'll tell you what, you put in half and I'll put in half. I'll match it. So whatever it is you want to do, then I'll match you. But if you put in nothing, then guess what? If you're not willing to invest in yourself, then guess what? I'm not willing to invest either. But they have to make the initial start, to build up their life or to build up their career or whatever. But if they're really trying, then yes, they deserve help in some way. And now sometimes kids that are having problems in school, it's not that they're just dumb kids or they're just, being stupid or irrational or whatever. But a lot of times what I've experienced is that sometimes kids just need to learn how to learn. And their learning skills need to be better. And that's why their mind wanders off. Because just taking a pill is not going to satisfy it. That's only numbing the situation. So I believe that if you take the time to teach your kids how to learn or to go for proper learning skills if they're not doing well enough in school, well, then that's going to be your answer. But at least you're putting in the time to help them build up their skills so that they could become self-sufficient. But metaphorically, I would say don't get them a stronger wheelchair. Yeah, a wheelchair with their weakness. All right? Build up their muscles so that they become more self-sufficient at becoming whoever or whatever they want to do. And so, that's what I would say, and just, sometimes they need just more of a support group. Maybe they just need to, you need to put them in an atmosphere where, if they're loners, put them in an atmosphere where they need to be more sociable with other kids. Whether it be a play, whether it be sports, whether it be, taking up martial arts, anything that could build up their confidence. But just to accept them just hanging out and not doing nothing, that should not be acceptable. And maybe they just need to speak to a good therapist also so they could get their feelings off their chest without feeling like they're being, very defensive or they have to worry about what they say. Sometimes a third party could really help them out. And, well, I have been known to be a very good therapist myself. I am known as the psychic therapist, but I'm not trying to hoard myself onto you. So I'm just letting you know that would probably be, a very healthy way to go about doing things. And, again, if you want to share them with things that you have gone through in life, that's great. But you want to know something? Your children have not experienced what you've experienced, what I've experienced. You have all these beautiful things and you want them to appreciate it because of where you came from. They can't relate to that because they haven't come from that spot themselves to really appreciate, So it's like they've never been without, or, well, some of you have and some of you haven't, So for them to really appreciate, maybe if you brought them to a soup kitchen or brought them to a place where, where kids are very vulnerable or people are vulnerable or children's hospital or something like that. So they could volunteer their time to become a part of society that doesn't have it maybe as good as you or as good as them, but they need to experience this themselves. And if one of your kids is going on a crash course, to harming themselves, by you always picking up the pieces, maybe you should allow them to crash and not always pick up the pieces because, again, they're not going to learn because you're teaching them that as soon as they screw up, you're there to save them all the time. But I will help you, as far as me as a parent, I will help you if you're looking for help or if you need help. But if you just keep on going in your ways of destruction, I'm not going to keep on supporting your means and your ways, as you're not only are they sucking themselves dry, but they're going to be sucking you dry of your resources and your health and your happiness and your money and whatnot, or your energy. So it's all about a matter of balance and respect. So again, even God only helps those who help themselves. So just to let people know, or your kids know, that you're there for them, to help them out, it means a lot. It really does. So, and then the rest is up to them. But don't reward somebody who's not willing to give an all-out effort. Oh boy, that was a mouthful, huh? Or an earful, I should say. All right, everybody, I'm Artie Hoffman. I want you to check out artiehoffman.com. I want you to join me on Facebook and Twitter and check out my YouTubes. And once again, it was a great pleasure sharing time with you. So until next time, take care, everybody.